Hey guys, it's Emmanuel manning another video. Hope you guys are doing well. So it's going to be an overview of the Hobgoblin skills, abilities, and weapons. So in terms of the weapons, we do have to recognize that the Green Goblin Norman Osborn developed a lot of these tools and these weapons that the Hobgoblin possesses. Roderick Kingsley is going to make some modifications to some of these weapons. I'll mention a couple that he modifies. And then a lot of the weapons and abilities, this is going to be something common to all the Hobgoblins. At the beginning, I will talk a little bit about the first Hobgoblin, Roderick Kingsley, because he kind of has some intellectual skills that kind of separate him from the other Hobgoblins. Ned Leeds, Jason McIndale, even Donovan Lefty, the second Hobgoblin, they're basically going to have the same tools, weapons, and abilities, right? I'll make sure to identify those. Just the sources of information are going to be the various Spider-Man comics, Amazing Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, and then a little bit of the Marvel Universe Handbook, which has a lot of detailed information on all the Marvel characters. So let's jump into Roderick Kingsley, the first Hobgoblin, the original one, and some of his intellectual abilities that separate him from the others. So his analytical skills is one thing that stands out about it. He gains access to Norman Osborn's equipment, and right away he's able to analyze it, research, and start modifying the equipment. He makes several observations about Norman Osborn in terms of his weaknesses, right? His irrationality is something that right away he identifies. He modifies the Goblin serum. I'll talk a little bit about that later. But he's carefully tests the test subject, right? He has a test subject that he uses the Goblin serum before he takes it. He analyzes Spider-Man very carefully, identifying his weaknesses, and then again, collecting as much information from Norman Osborn and then observing Spider-Man in action. So that's something that stands out about Roderick Kingsley. Also his planning skills. So in Amazing Spider-Man 249, he's going to develop this very elaborate blackmail scheme, blackmailing a lot of wealthy, affluent individuals, but he plans that very carefully. He groups them all together. He finds out information on all of them to blackmail them for money, right? He wants wealth. He wants to rule the underworld. So this is one of the ways that he tries to do this. But it took time for him to plan that out. Also, we're going to see in his planning skills that Hobgoblin defeats Spider-Man in Amazing Spider-Man 249. We see it here. He's about to finish him off. Comics, the Kingpin eventually saves Spider-Man. But he plans it carefully. After that loss, he watches Spider-Man in action, right? He sends a stand-in Hobgoblin. He watches him fight. He gains access to superhuman strength. We're going to see in the next slide. And then he defeats Spider-Man over everything he's learned. And then in terms of his planning, he knows when to use stand-ins, other individuals to stand in for him as the Hobgoblin. Ned Leeds, Donovan Lefty are some examples. And he knows when to retreat. That's something that in the comic books, if he's at a disadvantage, he always leaves battle and comes back more prepared. Superhuman strength, one of the major abilities of the Hobgoblin. So Roderick Kingsley perfects the Goblin serum. He eliminates the side effects, which is the irrationality of Norman Osborn, and then he's able to become a more formidable opponent for Spider-Man. Spider-Man has superhuman strength. He's a very, very, very strong opponent. So that's something that Roderick Kingsley identifies right away in his research. He has to have that superhuman strength in order to have a chance against Spider-Man. And this trait of superhuman strength is specific to every Hobgoblin. Donovan Lefty, the second one, Ned Leeds, the third, and then Jason McIndale, the fourth. They're all eventually gain this superhuman strength. Looking into the weapons, the iconic weapon for the Hobgoblin would be his pumpkin bombs and grenades. Right? They act as explosive grenades. In Amazing Spider-Man 249, he does use one to disrupt Spider-Man's spider sense, the Hobgoblin. And then he also uses these goblin pumpkin bombs sometimes for smoke, right? For stealth, to go to stealth. And then in Amazing Spider-Man 276, he does use a specific goblin grenade to disrupt Spider-Man's crawling. We can see this, right? Spider-Man says, I'm not sticking to this wall. He's like, oh, what did that pumpkin bomb do? And then it just eliminates his ability to climb, right? His web crawling. His razor bats, right? I'm not going to explain that, right? Those act as weapons, right? To impale opponents, a defensive weapon. his Hobgoblin, the glider, right? The Goblin Glider, right? Another iconic tool of the Hobgoblin. I kind of put here some of the specifications. Speed up to 110 miles per hour. The weight that it can carry, 420. It can climb 90 feet per minute. And then in terms of controlling the glider, the Hobgoblin, through body gestures, is able to control the glider. Kingsley did add kind of like some voice control, but it's mostly body. And then Kingsley, he did add more protective measures to the glider. So when Hobgoblin lives, he actually puts like an electrical. If somebody tries to, jump on him on the glider, he has the defensive electrical that electrocutes the opponent. And we can see here in Spider-Man being electrocuted. And then this part comes off, right? The head, like the front portion of the Goblin Glider, comes off. So this is something that Kingsley definitely added to the glider. The Finger Blaster, another iconic weapon of the Hobgoblin. We can see here, right, some of the specific look of it inside the glove. You see these power supply, right? We can see sometimes that the Hobgoblin kind of gloves look a little bit more meatier here. We can see why right here. Okay, and obviously it acts as a defensive, right? As a finger blaster and to stun Spider-Man or any opponent. Okay, we're also going to see that this is, again, specific to Roderick Kingsley. He kind of adds an electrical blast to the finger blaster as well. He uses this mostly in Amazing Spider-Man 696, 697. And this is, again, part of his planning skills. We can see he uses it to stun the Phil Urich Hobgoblin, right? He battles him. So this is kind of a modification he made just in his battle with Phil Urich, right? Since I don't think of Finger Blast, right, would be enough to stun him, so he uses his electrical blast his battle with Phil Urich. Hobgoblin does use this battle van in Amazing Spider-Man 249, 250, well, more 250, 251. So this battle van, again, it belongs to Norman Osborn. Like I mentioned, a lot of the weapons belong to Norman Osborn. And this is very fortified van that has weapons. And then it's fortified, Norman Osborn fortified it, right, to protect from Spider-Man, right, or others trying to get in. So definitely a powerful tool. It does only make one brief appearance, right? That's why I'm not elaborating on it. But definitely a tool in the Hobgoblin's arsenal, so it should be mentioned. And that is it. Okay, so in terms of the research, it was kind of cool finding a little bit more of the specific functions of some of the Hobgoblin's weapons. A lot of similarities between the Hobgoblins in terms of weapons and abilities. Roderick Kingsley obviously has a big advantage, right? Those intellectual abilities, I think, over all the Hobgoblins. So, and then the modifications that he made, it was kind of cool just finding out about those. But we can see, right, the Hobgoblin doesn't just have an iconic look, right? He has a lot of tools at his disposal that also make him even more iconic and cool. So I want to thank you for watching, for sticking if you're still around. Appreciate you watching this and your support. So, all that good stuff. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, etc. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions or anything I missed. Yeah, definitely let me know. I'm hoping to do more videos like these in the future. Maybe the Demonic Hobgoblin, look at some of his abilities. Maybe the Phil Urich Hobgoblin, which I didn't mention in this one. Kind of look at maybe his skill sets and his abilities. Yeah, let me know if you're interested in any of those. All right, guys. Video's long enough. So again, thank you for watching and be well.